Hi guys, welcome to Filmingo Recaps. Today we are going to look over a Russian romance film, based on the story of a single mother, Masha. She has one son, Misha, who is studying in the graduating class. Masha has devoted her life to her job and her son, forgetting about her own desires and mental health. She's worried about the studies of her son. He is very weak in mathematics, and her mother thinks if he cannot pass the unified state examination, he'll be called up to serve in the military, but he's not capable of serving in the army as he doesn't know anything about it. That's her main concern, her son. She wants him to get admitted to a university, and for that, she hires a mathematics tutor for him. She works as a senior research scientist at an institute of biological synthesis. But she also writes the diploma papers for the students and works part-time as a lecturer at a university, to earn some extra cash to pay her son's tuition fee. Working this hard affects her mental health badly, and she gets sleep insomnia. The movie starts off with a normal routine day in Masha's life. She set the alarm on her phone, but when the alarm rings in the morning, she is already awoken like always, because she cannot sleep the whole night. She takes a shower, prepares breakfast, and wakes up her son. Then she walks with him to his school, and after seeing him off, she goes to the laboratory where she works. After finishing her work, she goes to see a doctor, for the treatment of her insomnia. The doctor asks her about her husband. She says she is divorced for 13 years. The doctor suggests some sleeping pills and says to read the instructions carefully before taking the pills. Then she comes to the school to meet one of the teachers of her son. The teacher says to her that Misha will pass the exam if he concentrates. The next day, Masha goes to meet a professor at a university. He was also her teacher when she was studying at that institute. She asks him to help her get her son admitted to that university, but he says he's going to retire next week. He says to her that they have a vacancy in the evening education program, and she can take this position. She says her life is already very busy with her job, diplomas, and her son. But the professor tells her to work hard, for the sake of her son. So she starts working there as a lecturer. Her son doesn't take interest in his studies and he's playing games on his laptop. She scolds him and asks him to focus on his studies. The next day she goes to a pharmacy and buys the sleeping pills the doctor recommended to her. Then she goes to meet her friend Alya, who's been her friend since they were in college. She says to Masha that they are moving to a summer cottage, and asks her to join them. Masha says she'll come to them at the weekend, so she could have a fine sleep. At the weekend, after sending her son to school, when she leaves home for Alya's place, she forgets to carry the sleeping pills with her, because she has to catch the train and is getting late. When she gets there, Alya asks her to go for a walk, but Masha says she has to go to sleep, and she doesn't know how long she will sleep after taking the pills. And when she opens her handbag to grab the pills, she realizes that she has forgotten them at home. At night, when Masha is trying to sleep, Alya comes to her room and says that her mom is feeling unwell. They call an ambulance to get medical aid. Meanwhile, Masha tries to help her because she is also a biologist. When the ambulance comes to their home, the doctor examines Alya's mother and gives her some medicine. He says to them their mother needs to implant a heart stimulator. The doctor was looking at Masha very interestingly. He tells Masha that a surgeon is his friend who implants heart stimulators. He will talk to him about their mother, and that surgeon will call Masha to talk about their mother's condition. Masha gives him her phone number and tells him her name, and the doctor tells his name, Alexei. The next day, when Masha is standing on the train platform, waiting for the train to get back to her home, Alexei calls her and asks if his friend has called them. Masha says no, he hasn't called yet. Alexei asks Masha if he can call her again, and she says yes, he can call her. Alexei asks her to meet on Tuesday. When she meets him, he shows her an annotation of a heart stimulator. Masha says she'll tell this to Alya and her mother. Alya and she are not sisters, but they are friends since Biology Institute. Alexei asks her where she works. She says she works in a laboratory as well as in a university, and also at home. Alexei asks when she gets time for herself. She says she doesn't find time for herself because she has many duties. Alexei asks her to let him help her by picking her up from home in his car to take her to the city and drop her back at her home. In the evening, when she concludes her lecture and leaves the university, she sees Alexei there with his car. She comes to him and tells him to stop doing this. This is not good. She is an adult woman and she has a son also. Alexei says to her to stop conditionality and get informal. He asks her to get in the car, so he can drop her at home. After reaching her home, Alexei asks when he should come in the morning to pick her up. She says him not to come in the morning because she goes with her son and sees him off to school. Alexei says he'll come in the evening at the same time as today. The next evening when he comes to her university, Masha says she doesn't know why Alexei is doing all this. He says he just wants to see her. And then Alexei takes her to a restaurant. Masha asks him if he's married. He says he's not married now, but he's been married twice, and got divorced. Alexei asks Masha about her husband. She says she hasn't seen him for 14 years, since they got divorced. When they get back to Masha's home, Alexei tries to kiss her but she refuses and says she's not happy about that, and she goes into her house. The next day when she is working in the laboratory, her professor calls her and asks her to get some medicine for him. She says she'll bring it in the afternoon. When Alexei comes in the evening, he asks Masha to go to his home, but she says she has to take medicine for her professor. Alexei sees the medicine and says these medicines are not urgent. Then he takes her to his home, where he starts intimating with her. Her professor calls her, but Alexei throws her phone away. In the evening, when Alexei drops Masha at home, her son sees her coming from the window. He comes out to see who that man is, and he finds her mom and that man kissing each other. This makes him angry, and he doesn't talk well with her mother. He also starts going to school alone, without his mom. The following day, Masha goes to her professor's house to take care of him. In the evening, after meeting Alexei, when Masha gets late for her class, the dean of the faculty asks her to manage things, and be on time. One night before when Misha's exam is going to be held, Masha asks him to make sure he has all the things in his bag. On his exam day, Masha is walking with Alexei when she receives a call from a teacher, who says to her that Misha failed the exam. She becomes worried and tries to call him, but he doesn't answer. Alexei says to her that Misha failed the exam on purpose because he wants to attract her attention. Masha says it's easy for him to say so because he has no children. In the evening, when Alexei comes to pick her up, he proposes to her and says that they should live together. Masha comes home and tries to comfort her son. She asks her why he failed the exam. He gets furious and says he doesn't know why he failed. He prepared for the whole year, but he was given lower marks. He says he doesn't want to study, instead he wants to date girls and have fun. So her mom goes to her room angrily. The next day, Masha sees that her friend Alya and her mother have returned from the summer house. She goes to their house and tells them that the doctor proposed to her. Alya says to her not to think much and marry him, but her mother asks her to not do that, otherwise, she'll lose her son. Masha goes to Alexei's home. She calls her son and tells her that she will spend the night at Alya's home. Alexei tells Masha that his dream is to travel all over Europe by car. He is gathering information about it, and a day will come when he will forget everything else and go to fulfill his dream. The next day, when she comes back home, she sees a girl in the bathroom of her home. She asks her son who that girl is, and why he didn't go to school. He says she is his friend. Masha asks him to get her out of the home, and she never wants to see her again. Masha becomes very upset, and the next day, she meets Alexei and says to him that they won't see each other again, because she doesn't want to ruin her life. Alexei says to her that she will spoil her son's life and hers too, and he leaves. Then Alexei goes to Masha's home and tries to talk to her son. He says to him not to be so selfish and try to think a little bit about her mother. He becomes furious at him and says it's his house too, and he has the right not to allow someone else to live there. When Masha reaches home, Misha says her mom to ask Alexei to leave, so Alexei leaves their home. Masha goes to his school the next day and meets Misha's teacher. She says to her that Misha put the wrong answers on purpose, didn't answer some questions, and he spoiled his exam himself. He didn't even try to pass the exam. The teacher tells Masha not to be so upset, he can pass the exam next year. But she says he won't try again, he'll join the army. Then she leaves from there and goes to the university and submits her resignation to the dean of faculty. When Masha comes home, she talks to her son. She says to him that she made a lot of effort for his studies, she wasted all her life on him, but he spoiled everything. And she starts crying saying that. The next morning, Misha is taken to a military camp on a bus, along with some other boys from the school. Their parents are there to see off their sons, so Masha is also there and is very upset. When Masha comes home, she takes the sleeping pills and tries to sleep. But a few moments later, her friend Alya calls her and says that her mother is ill. Masha calls Alexei to ask him what to do. He says her to take her mom to a clinic and he'll also get there. When they get there, Alexei also comes there and treats Alya's mother, while Masha gets asleep as she has taken the pills. When she gets up, Alexei takes her in his car to his home. He asks her about Misha, she replies he's in the army. When they are at Alexei's home, Masha asks him about his trip to Europe. He replies that his dream was foolish, because he can't get out of the preoccupations of life. Masha says that sometimes we're thrown out of these preoccupations, and saying that she leaves. Masha also resigns from her job from the Biology Institute. On her way back home, she buys a map of Europe from a bookstall. When she comes home, she tries to open the door of her apartment, but the key gets broken and the door can't be opened. Then she goes to Alya's home. Alya gets surprised and asks her how she came here during working hours. Masha says she's on vacation, and now she will stay with them forever. Alexei comes to Masha's home to meet her, but he sees that the door is locked and the broken key is stuck in it. Then he finds a letter in the postbox which is from her son Misha. Alexei goes to the military camp to meet him and buys him some food. Misha asks him if his mom has sent him, but Alexei says her mom is not answering the phone, and he went their home but the door was locked. Then Misha says to him that her mother is with Aunt Alya at her summer cottage. Alexei tells Misha to call him in case of any need, and then he goes back. At Alya's place, Masha goes out to the bay for a walk. When she's strolling around the beach, Alexei comes there. He says he brought the new keys to her home, as he has changed the lock. But Masha says she won't go back home, because she has arranged a trip. Showing him the map of Europe, she asks him if he would go with her. Alexei asks her in return, if she will go with him. They both become happy and hug each other. Then they go away in the car, and the movie ends with this scene. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and turn on the bell notification, to never miss the upcoming interesting videos like this. Thanks again and stay blessed.